All right, guys, welcome back. We are on Chat with Gunner. This is episode 93, and we got a little bit of a surprise guest tonight. Somebody that you might not know. I know I didn't until I just happened to run across his profile on YouTube, and I think it's because I'm such a fan of the movie Wolf of Wall Street and just a bunch of sales things that his video just popped up in my suggestions, and I just happened to see it. So his name's Dwayne Jackson. He's joining us. I don't even know where he's calling in from or where the video is from, but we're going to bring him on. So, Dwayne, what's up, man? How
What's
are you
up,
doing?
brother? I'm doing good, man. I'm in Orlando, Florida, man. That's where I live now. So,
Hey, well, you're actually not that far from me if you're in Orlando because I'm in Miami right now for a conference.
oh yeah, I just moved from Miami. I was living in South Beach for about a year during the
Really?
pandemic, and then my wife got a job up here teaching, and so we moved up here. So,
So,
yeah.
how did you like South Beach?
I liked it too much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's probably a good thing to get away if you're a family man, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I wasn't into I'm too old for the clubs and all that stuff is done, but
Right.
I liked riding my bike around. I lived in the I forget the name of the neighborhood. Jeez. But there's a park right near the house that we used to go to all the time, and I liked riding the bike to the beach. And I think I'm a beach guy. I didn't know that. I think I'm a beach guy.
Okay. Hey, just stay in Florida then. You're in a good spot.
I know, right? Yeah.
You're in a good spot if you're a beach guy in Florida. So here's what we're gonna do, man. I just want you to kind of give everybody and myself a little bit of a background on where you came from, but most importantly, you were a broker at Stratton Oakmont, which Wolf of Wall Street, cult following of a film, crazy film. Leonardo DiCaprio, an amazing performance. Supposedly, Jordan Belfort, I think he claims Leonardo DiCaprio as himself more so than himself these days. He's always posting up videos of Leonardo doing his own scenes. But tell me about your time there and how you got started there, and maybe sales prior to that. Just give me a little bit of information on you.
um. Well, what happened was I got to Stratton really young. I think I was 19. I didn't know what I was going to do. I wanted to go to film school. I wanted to act, and for whatever reason, that seemed unattainable. Even though it's no more difficult than stuffing stock down people's throat that they don't want. I went in the Army Reserves, and I just did my basic in AIT, and then I came back home, and I was playing basketball in the park, and there was a guy I went to school with, and he was like, "Hey, man," I saw him. He had a brand new BMW. I was like, "Yo, what do you do?" He was like, "I'm a stockbroker." I was like, "How?" He just graduated. He was like, "Well, honestly, you don't even have to have a diploma or anything to be to parachute Series 7." I was like, "Are you serious?" He was like, "Yeah. Just find the want ads, call them, call the want ads, like call a broker trainee ad, leave your name and number, and they'll call you back." And that's what I did. And I got a call from like two people, and Stratton was one of them. And I just went, and that was pretty much it, man. And I was a trainee for a good while, and passed my Series 7 on like my third try. And then I started account opening, and eventually I made some money, and up till almost right when they got shut down. They got shut down in late 1996, and I was there right up until then.
So you were there when the doors shut.
I was about a month out. I had went down to I needed a break. Most of my friends were in college, so I had some money, so I went down to South Carolina. I forgot how much money I had, man, and I just went down there and hung out like I was a college student for like 6 months. And then I heard like, "Yo, Stratton closed." I was like, "What? Get out of here!" So when I came back, because I came back up to New York, I went and worked at other companies. There was a company in Manhattan called Millennium Securities. I worked there. Then I ended up getting a job offer in Atlanta, and I went back. I went and moved to Atlanta, and I was there for like 20 years. But
All right. Well, so obviously we're going to talk about Stratton Oakmont. I kind of want to break down some things, get some behind the scenes stories, let you kind of long form talk about it a little bit.
okay,
You posted the first video up on YouTube, and I think the video is titled "I was a broker at Stratton Oakmont." I think that's something along those lines.
right.
And you had like, I don't know, 100 subscribers. if that. You just
Right.
like in October, you created your channel, and that video, 26,000 views, just like that.
I was shocked. I was like, people actually care about these stories.
Well, and it's crazy because I've been doing this podcast now this is episode 93, and I do them. I try to do them once a week. So, we're going up on 2 years now, and we haven't had no video do 25,000 views, and we're pretty consistent and stuff. So, to be able to see that and be like, it's really just content and what certain communities want to hear. And if you can grab a niche, you can kind of take that and build a little community. Now you have like 600 something subscribers, natural, organic, and you've posted like 5 or 6 Stratton Oakmont videos that have all done about 1,000 views on top of the 25,000 viewing. You've almost done more views in like a couple of months just with Stratton Oakmont videos than like we've done the entire time. So it's impressive, man. It's impressive.
I'm blown away. I'm like, my brother, who's in the music business, he was like, D, why don't you talk about that Stratton Oakmont stuff, man? People want to hear it. And I was just like, why? So long ago, nobody cares about it. He's like, D, just put up a video. So I stuck the camera in my face, and I had like an LED light. I put it behind me so it turned the wall blue, and it looks terrible. The sound is horrible. Everything was bad. And I just put it up, and then I didn't bother with it. And I went back and checked. I was like, 10,000 views.
Isn't that crazy?
10,000 views. I was like, what the hell is going on? If you look, there's like 2 months where I didn't do anything.
Right.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, maybe there is something here. So let me do more videos. And so many people have been responding. I'm almost at 700 subscribers. And basically a 2-3 month period, almost 1,500 hours in watch time. I was like, wow, maybe this is something people want to hear, that about these experiences. I mean, for me, it was pretty regular, It was, for people for kids on Long Island at that time, it was like working at McDonald's, man. The brokerage business was everywhere. Everybody was doing it. And I just happened to work at Stratton Oakmont.
Well, that's really cool because they made a huge motion picture about the film, and it's got a cult following now. So tell me about, I'm in a freight brokerage business, so I understand brokering to a certain extent when it comes to being like the middleman and grabbing money from people, but I do it in freight. So when you're selling stocks, I've never really been into the stock game. Kind of tell me, when you're coming in before you get, was it your Series 7? Is that what you said? So before you get your Series 7 and you get a job at Stratton, like, what are you doing there? What do they have you doing?
Cold calling. So what happened is they would be like you would come in as a trainee. Once you were consistently getting 10 leads a day for your broker, they would move you up and give you your books. Now you get your books you can study for your Series 7. I got to the point I was an actor, really. I was a jock in high school that happened to be really good at theater. So I would just get on the phone and act like a middle-aged white guy, and I was good. So people didn't know. They didn't, man. I'd be like, hi, this is Dwayne over Stratton. And they, I did really well, and my broker was excited. He was like, this kid is good. So I was like an anomaly in the office because there wasn't a lot of African Americans in there, and I was very young. So they, everybody was kind of excited about me. I was like I don't know. I don't want to say like a pet, but I was like this kid, look at this kid. And they would always do stuff for me. See, Jordan wasn't the only Jordan in the office. There was another guy named Jordan. And Jordan was cool. I didn't really know him very well because by the time I got there, the movie made it very, I didn't understand what was happening, but Jordan kept disappearing. But after watching the movie, I figured it out. He was going to jail in court. I didn't know. Right. They didn't tell us.
Right.
So, but there was another Jordan in the office who was friends with Jonah Hill's character. And I think they went to high school together or something like that. And he took care of me, man. To this day, I found him on Facebook and I hit him up. I just say, hey, look, man, I just want to thank you because he protected me and he shielded me like from stuff. Like he really helped me. And like when I first got there, there were some brokers that asked me, hey, do you know any more people like you? And I was like, yeah, all my friends are like me. Can you get them up here? We'll pay you a bonus of $500 per person. So I bought 4 of my friends. So it was like $2,000 they owed me. And I was going to use that money on a down payment for a car. And when I did it, they were like, yeah, we're not going to pay you. So I went to the other Jordan And I told him what happened, and he brought him all in the office. He was like, "If you don't go in your pockets and give this kid $2,000 right now, you're fired." And he gave me $2,000 in cash.
Wow.
And when I became a broker, what happened was I was an account opener for a while, and my broker, his name was George Patsis. He left the firm. So that effectively left, because what happens is you become an account opener. Once you pass your 7, you work for your broker, you open up, I think it was 25 accounts for him, and then they let you go out on your own and they give you your last account as your first account. But he left after I got my first 5 accounts or so. So I just would come to work every day and I didn't work for anybody. And I just kind of, nobody, it's a huge office. So I was just there. They paid me and I was opening up accounts for whoever would give me leads. And I got really good at opening accounts because that's all I did. So I would come in the office and guys would be like, because what happened, wow, you got me really remembering this stuff. What happens is if a broker didn't have 5 new accounts for the month, they would cut their commissions. So they needed 5 new accounts. So they would pay me to get them an account. So at the end of the month, they'd be like, "Yo, I need like 3. D, can you get me 3?" And I'd be like, "Yo, give me $600." They'd be like, "All right, you give me 3. I get 3 accounts in 2 hours and then go home for the day with $600 in cash." So it was kind of like I was hustling the hustle. And, I would be with my friends who were either, I don't want to say degenerates, but they weren't doing anything,
Right.
or they were in college or whatever. And I would be at Coney Island in the middle of the afternoon with $1,000 in my pocket from just that. And
In
then
the
what
mid
happened
90s,
was,
doing all right.
you said what?
In the mid 90s, doing okay.
Doing good in the mid 90s, doing really good. So Jordan came to me. He was like, "Don't you want to go on your own and make some real money?" And in my mind, I'm like, this is real money. I got money for Jordans and I got money for Nintendo. I'm a kid, effectively.
Right.
And he was like, no. This is, you need to open up accounts for yourself, build a book of business, and then I'll get you in on some of these IPOs, but you got to show me you, that, and third. So, I mean, this guy, literally my girlfriend was in high school at the time. I was like 19 and I didn't even have money to take her to a prom. And I went there and asked her, he gave me money out of his pocket to take my high school girlfriend to the prom. So like these guys, in particularly Jordan, I'm not gonna say his last name because I think he got in trouble and he's trying to stay out the spotlight. But Jordan was the best. He just took care of me. And he got me to the point where I was making money. And a big month for me would be like 30, 25. I think I did 48 one time in commissions. And take into account, I'm living at home. I don't have any bills. I had a 300ZX twin turbo, T-top twin turbo. And I had all this money everywhere. Inside of sneakers, in my top dresser drawer. I was just like, I had my father is not a poor man by any means. My dad was upper management. And, he's probably at that time making back then $40,000-$50,000 a year.
Right.
So,
good money.
He was good money. We lived on Long Island. I mean, it's not like we were poor, but my dad just told me, he's like, "D, I can't help you. I can't help you with this." Because I used to have these expensive ties that I buy because I have things to spend the money on. So I go to the mall and I go to Versace or wherever and I buy a $500 tie. And my father, "Can I wear that Versace tie? I got a meeting at work." I'd be like, "Yeah." And he'd be like, "Yo, what's that in your drawer?" Because I would put my money, I would roll it up in $100 bills and then put it in coffee mugs and then put it in the drawer. Each mug had about $5,000 in it. So he'd be like, "What is that in those mugs? What are those papers?" And I was playing Sega. I was like, "That's money." He was like, "What do you mean that's money?" I was like, I just put it in the drawer. It's money." He's like, "How much money is in each one of those mugs?" I was like, "It's like $5,000, I think, in each mug." He's like, "There's 10 mugs in there." I was like, "Yeah, it's like $50,000. He was like, "You can't keep $50,000 in my house." He said, "Do you know what a bank is?" I was like, "I mean, not really." So I had no
Crazy.
concept of all these things. So I had to learn on the go, I guess. I mean, my dad told me what a bank was. I knew what one was, but I didn't feel the need to have one. I didn't know. I didn't know anything. So I learned how to open accounts before I learned how to open a bank account. I learned how to sell stock before I even knew
Life.
life. So
That's
that,
crazy. So obviously the whole thing about the movie, and I guess what the other Jordan, the main Jordan, is doing now is
mhm,
selling straight line persuasion. He's a sales trainer. And that's
right.
kind of what he transitioned to, I guess, after he got out of trouble to pay off all the debts. Was that something that they did with you guys? Was there like a straight line selling training course?
Yeah. The straight line was taught to everybody. I guess it was taught to the original guys, and then they passed it on to their trainees, and then they passed it on. It was kind of like, passed down. So they would have like, excuse me, they would have like a class. So you get there early in the morning, and they would have a class for cold callers or a class for account openers or whatever on how to, what the straight line was. So I remember there was this guy. He was a wrestler. I think he was a professional wrestler at one time, like a lower tier professional wrestler. He became a broker there, and he was like, he had the speech impediment, and he's the one that taught me the straight line. He came out with this chalkboard. He had this bad list, but he was like, you just draw a line here and draw a line there, and you got to go between the two, and da 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 da. And he basically drew a line between these two hash marks, and he was like, your sale is from point A to point B. And when somebody gives you a rebuttal to take you off of the beaten path, you have to knock them back up to that line. And those are rebuttals. So what do you say when somebody says, I have to talk to my wife? What do you say when somebody says, not today, or, I'm not interested, or whatever? And that's how they taught us the straight line. And I got pretty good at it, honestly. Got really good at it. Since I was young.
Right.
Yeah.
Coachable. You're very coachable at the time.
Yeah, I didn't know anything. I did what
Yeah.
they told me to do. And it worked. So, yep.
How many calls would you make in a day?
Oh God! Back then we were making like 400 calls a day. What they would do was your broker, they had a line that you couldn't cross. So if you had you had to yell, you had to walk to a certain point and then yell to your broker to come back and talk to you, because you were a scum of the earth cold caller. You didn't have the right to be beyond that line. And then sometimes your broker would my broker would take the phone receiver and take a rubber band and put it around my head and put the phone on my side of my head. So if I had to go to the bathroom, I had to unhook the phone from the phone part and then walk with the phone on the side of the receiver on the side of my head to the bathroom.
Man, y'all had those original headsets, huh?
We had the original, wasn't no earpieces, none of that, man. It was smile and dial. And then they started putting mirrors in front of us. They made us either buy a mirror, or they brought it for us, and you had to speak to the mirror, smile to the mirror, talk to the mirror, enunciate, open your mouth. I remember all that. They had a guy come in there that was an acting coach and teach acting classes about pronunciation. I mean, they really, really were not bullshitting. They went in as far as every aspect you could think of the sales process. And I guess it was like Navy SEALs of sales. I didn't know. I didn't know
Right.
everything, I didn't know. So,
But obviously it worked, right?
yes, I became very good at sales. The problem is I was very young. I didn't know that. How can I explain it? When you're a kid, you think you're supposed to be motivated by certain things like money or women, whatever. People tell you you're supposed to be motivated. I was a creative person. I'm still a creative person. I'm more of a creative person than I am a money person. Money doesn't bring me joy. And what I mean by that is uh, doing a job that just makes me basically my job is to just print money is not fulfilling for me. There has to be something else involved, something creative, something where I help people. It has to be something else involved. So I was trying to be what, you know, in New York, everybody told me I should be. The rap music I listened to, everything told me that I should be this hustler. And I'm a hustler. I'm good at it, but I hated it. I just didn't like it, but I was good at it.
Right.
So when you tell people, man, I hate this, man, you bought us all PlayStations. What are you talking about? You know? You're driving around at 20 years old, you know. I would literally drive to a red light and girls that I went to, you know, would jump in my car because they thought I had a Porsche. It was a 300, like, it was crazy. And they're like, why would you give that up? And I was, because I'm miserable. But it took me a lot longer to be mature enough to understand what and who I was. So I basically did all this before I really came to grips with who I was as a person. So that makes sense.
We'll get to all of that. So a couple more things while we're on the topic. Obviously, the movie is very wild in the drug scene, in like the prostitution scene and all those things. And you kind of hear Jordan tell these stories on other podcasts as well about how he was wild and how the movie was pretty accurate. What was the vibe like in the office? I know you said you guys were like the scum of the earth. You couldn't cross a certain line, which is crazy that that's actually true. But what was the actual vibe in the office?
Okay, what was it like? It was crazy. It was tons of energy. 500 people screaming and yelling all day, at least to the market close. I'm trying to give you a really good, just thinking of myself at that time, like something. It was an alternate universe. That's what it was. It was like walking into a whole nother world because money wasn't the same as it was to everybody else. Even after I became a broker and I started making money, you couldn't go to any broker in that office and be like, oh man, I got to go do something. Can I borrow like 500? I'll give it right back to you after I go to the bank. And there wasn't nobody that didn't have 500, you know what I'm saying, in cash on them.
Right.
They used to call it Broker Disney World because they used to pay us so much money. It was a whole, imagine that you're a young person and the way you view the world and money is completely different. Like, it was tough for me to try to get a regular job after that. Like, I couldn't work a regular job because you're going to pay me 50 grand a year to do what? To make you $250,000? Like, as soon as I sit down, I'm trying to figure out how you're making your money just because I know that there's more money in this than what you're telling me.
Right.
And that was the biggest thing. It was, there was some parts of it that I think were a little, as do people say, toxic. I think he used to, Danny, the guy in the movie, his name was Donnie, but his real name is Danny Porsche.
So Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill's character's real name is a dude named Danny Porsche. And Danny was, I don't know what the hell, this dude was hilarious. His audacity was hilarious. But he used to say, do you want to be the jerk in the Porsche or the asshole in the Bentley? He's like, you could be a jerk in a Porsche, but why be a jerk in a Porsche when you could be an asshole in a Bentley? So it was like a Porsche was like a car, like that's your starter car.
Right.
There was guys in there that were 24, 23 years old driving Ferraris, man. And there was a company, I forgot the name of it. It was like something motorsports. If they do you a Stratton broker, they would give you a loan on a car, no questions asked, no problem. They would deliver it to the office. So if you, whatever you wanted.
Just because they knew you'd have the money eventually to pay for it.
Eventually, and if not, that the owners would, you know, they had an account or they'd work it out or they'd figure it out. They would figure. I forgot about it. Man, you're helping me to remember all this stuff.
Hey, there you go. It'd be good for your YouTube too. You start putting out more content.
Yeah, that's cool.
Now, also in the movie, they had a part where I guess they had like the article came out. The Wolf of Wall Street article came out. I don't know if that's real or not. But then I guess there was a bunch of people wanting to work there. So it was like a big recruiting push. And then they had like tailors on site getting you guys suits and stuff. Is that all kind of accurate?
Yeah, I seen the tailor part. Yeah, I remember that. There was a Italian guy who used to come in there, and they'd just be like suit guys here or shirt guys here, and you would just go in the corner in the back, and he would measure you for your stuff, and then they would deliver it to you. I wasn't a big, shirt monogram shirt guy, but there was that. I never. I saw in the video they had like little people being tossed around. I didn't see anything like that.
Right.
I did see a hot dog eating contest for $5,000 though.
Really?
Yeah, they went and bought a whole bunch of Nathan's hot dogs, and it was like whoever eats most hot dogs get $5,000.
Wow.
And he ate like 30 hot dogs, and he puked all over the desk. I remember that. It was wild. The movie Boiler Room.
Yeah.
That came out way before The Wolf of Wall Street, and I was watching the movie, and I was like, whoever wrote this movie was at Stratton Oakmont, because that bus trip in the beginning of the movie, I was on that bus trip. We went to
when they went to the hotel and they were partying.
No, one day it was a Friday, and Danny came out, and he was like, "Yo, everybody had a good sales month. Guess what, guys? We're going to AC. Look out the window." We looked out the window, and there was 2 tour buses, and then everything was comped. I ate filet mignon 3 times a day in Atlantic City.
Wow.
They gave us, like, bracelets, and we could eat, and it was crazy. So when I was like, man, that and it turns out I read an article that it was a guy that worked at Stratton Oakmont that wrote that movie.
Well, I know I had read that movie was loosely based off of it, or it was like the original Wolf of Wall Street movie.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, I know when I saw that, when I saw the buses, I was like, no, there's no way that the 2 brokerage firms did this the way they did it, the exact same way. We did it. And then Ben Affleck, what he was doing, they used to do that too, and they made us watch Wall Street. Everybody was calling themselves Bud Fox. And yeah, I was like, somebody worked at Stratton, because this is Stratton all day. So, yeah.
Man, that's crazy. All right, yeah. So here's one of my last questions about Stratton Oakmont until we kind of get into some other stuff. But what is and there could be more than one, but what's some of the most crazy, memorable stories that you can think of coming out of that place? Stuff you'll never forget.
One of the ones I did a video on, it always stuck with me. It was Danny. He there was a bunch of brokers that wanted to go home early for either Passover or some Jewish holiday. There's a bunch of Jewish guys wanted to go home early on Friday for Shabbat dinner. And he came out, he gave this speech, and he was high. I didn't know what Quaaludes were until I saw the movie The Wolf of Wall Street. I didn't know why they were talking like that. Only point of reference I had was DJ Screw. The DJ Screw was a DJ who slowed down the songs and they were like, whoa, whoa. So I was like, why is he talking like a DJ Screw tape? So I didn't know that that's what Quaaludes did. I didn't know what Quaaludes were. And he was like talking real slow. And he was like, you guys want to go home to go to dinner and then go to temple? He was like, why do you want to go to temple? Because you're all going to hell. He's like, we're stockbrokers. We're going to hell. He said, if there's a hell, I'm going. He said, I stole $100,000 from my partner on his deathbed. And then he stood up on his desk and he had his wallet in his hand. He was like, you see this wallet? He said, this is God. I'm God. God is right here in my hand. And he was like, God, if you're up there right now, strike me dead right off of this desk. Nothing happened. And I was just mortified. I grew up in a religious house. I was sitting there and he's standing up on his desk, and I was just like, oh my God, this dude is crazy.
Right. He's
gonna get us killed, man. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Right.
And he was like, I remember he said this, you think I give a damn if the price of chopped meat goes up 15 cents? He says, I have $8 million in my checking account. He said, I will get in my jet and I will strafe your house. These are all little things I remember him saying. And I was just sitting there. I was like, man, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Like, I don't ever want to be like this. This is crazy. This was insane. That was crazy. I've never seen anybody I'm sure people do it, but I've personally never seen anything else like that.
I've never seen anything like that. So
he was like, I'll beat God with this wallet. And yeah, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. No. That and payday. Every 15th of the month was payday. and we used to bank. A lot of guys banked across the street. I believe it was EAB Bank, and they would shut the bank down, and it would be like a party, popping bottles
At the bank?
at the bank. They would close down early. Everybody would go cash their checks. They had money counting machines everywhere for us if you wanted to cash a check. The tellers at the bank were like, you know, they see a young kid in there with a Ferrari, got a check for, you know, $400,000. They were just whatever. It was like a party, like a real party at the bank every 15th of the month.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Would there be like one check come out a month? Would you just get like one big commission check monthly?
One big commission check every month. They would, let's say whatever you did gross, let's say you did 100,000 gross commissions, 50% goes to the firm, and then out of your 50%, all of your expenses for like your cold callers, leads, whatever fees, whatever you had to pay for the month came out of your 50%, and then taxes, and then you got what was left over.
So say you did 100K and you're going to get 50. About what would you take home out of that?
Depends on how big your staff was. Like if you had a bunch of cold callers, a bunch of account openers, I mean, 25, 30, something like that, probably.
So you'd get about half of pretty much.
A little bit, maybe a little bit more, but yeah, about half. Some guys didn't have very big staffs, and sometimes, you know, there was a guy that he was cold calling next to me. He passed his test. He called this guy. I'll never forget this. You can remember, brought this back up. He called this guy up, and he pitched him what we would do. We would call and pitch, open on a big board stock like Dr. Pepper or Compact Computer, whatever. I don't think it was even out then. Apple Computer, whatever was had a good story. We were pitching Dr. Pepper on a takeover by Cadbury Schweppes for a long time. So you start out, you ask them for a big order or what you consider a big order. 2,000 shares at $7, that's like 14 grand.
Right.
So he's like, you know, and we usually get him down to about 100 shares just to try us out. And then you call him back and try to raise money. So on the first close, the guy was like, yeah. So he's like, okay. And our rule in the office was check hits trade. So whenever the guy check hits the building, you call him back and ask him for more money immediately until he stops sending money. So he called him. Guy sent in the first check. He called him back, and the dude was like, they said, ask him for $1 million. Now I watched this guy cold call next to me. So he passed his test, got all his stuff together, called this guy. He said, yes, 14,000. Call him back, ask him for $1 million. He says, yes. Check his trade. He says, call him back, ask him for another $1 million. He asked him for $7 million. He said yes every time. He went from sitting next to me, couldn't buy lunch, to driving a Viper in 45 days. Stuff like that will keep you at the desk. Like you'll be like, you know what, I just got to make the right phone call.
Right.
To the right person. So I'll never forget that. He didn't even talk to me after that. He was like,
big time.
Big time. He did $1 million gross commission in 1 month. And then his end was 500. He had no expenses, just taxes, because he didn't have a staff.
Right.
So,
woo, man, that's that big boy money right there now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Those guys in the office doing that kind of money. 700,000 gross, 800,000 gross every month. Every month.
So like who was there a superstar? Like who was the top dog?
I'm sure that there was a dude named Matt Bloomberg, I think his name was. He worked across the street. He was like he worked at the deli, and they recruited him from the deli. He was like slicing meat. And then he made like $500,000 the next year. And Blue Bay, like what they would do is they would partner up together. Like I had a partner. So I was very good at opening accounts, but I didn't really like talking about positions and giving people updates about their stocks. Right. I was good at establishing new relationships. I was on to the next. So you partner up with a guy. He handles that stuff. I handle the new accounts. He raises the money. So there was a lot of those. We had a lot of partnerships.
Okay.
And it's been so long I can't remember them, but they were doing like $2 million a month, $1 million in gross commissions, 1.5 million in gross commissions every month. I think one of the guys' names was Ira Boschnack, and I forgot the other guy's name. But they would split the name on the board, and they would call you by that split name. Like, so my partner's name was Justin Meehan. My name was Jackson, so they used to call us Jack Me. They'd be like, Jack Me, how much you do this month? I'd be like, oh, we did X, Y, Z. So, yeah. Shout out to Justin. He's like a Olympic fencer at one point in time after we left.
Really?
And now he has like a big fencing school in like, I think he's in Seattle or something like that.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
So you said you had $50,000 in coffee cups in your dresser.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the most that you had like liquid cash when you were doing that?
I don't know. I really couldn't tell you, man. I don't think I have more than six figures. I don't think I have that much. Probably maybe 75, 80 grand, something like that. I don't think I have more than 100 grand. And not in cash.
But you were what, 20? 21?
20, 21, yeah.
Ooh. In what, 94, 95, 96-ish?
Yeah. So I started there late 93, 94, and then they closed down in 96. So between those years in that time frame.
So that's about like having 200K in the bank right now?
Yeah.
Probably so, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If you're thinking of it that way.
Easily, yeah. Absolutely.
God, man. That's crazy. So what are you doing now? Like, where'd you take all these skills? What's up?
So I basically worked in sales jobs. After that, I started selling commodities, which is a whole nother Stratton Oakmont that they didn't make the movie about.
Commodities.
I was doing currencies, man.
Mm.
I was doing currency trading before they made it regulated in Atlanta. And what happened was I was working at this brokerage firm in Atlanta called JP Turner. And there was these guys, man, and they were like, had all this money, man. They worked in the offices above us. And they were trying to recruit me to come up there. And I was like, I'm a stockbroker, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what do you guys do? And they were like, oh, we sell currency. We trade currency options. And I was like, what is that? And then I finally explained it. Eventually, I went and checked them out. First week, I made $11,000. Opened up 11 accounts and made 11.5 in 1 week. And they went week to week. So that's a whole nother story. I did that. The name of the company I worked for was Risk Capital Trading Group in Atlanta. And I did that for some time. And then after that, I did a lot of other sales jobs too. I did what I consider, I guess, lower tier sales jobs, not so stressful. I sold credit card processing. I opened up a currency trading room with a buddy of mine who ended up getting killed by the Korean mob. I need to write a damn book, man.
Yes, you do. So your partner got killed by the Korean mob? Wow.
Yeah. Yep. He owed me some money. We had a falling out, and he didn't pay these mobsters that he borrowed money from, and they murdered him and threw him in a trash compactor in Queens. And we were living in Atlanta, and the offices were in Atlanta. And I got all my friends from currency trading, and some of my stock friends to come work with me. And we fell out. We got in a big argument over some money, and somebody murdered him.
Man.
Somebody murdered him. It's crazy. It's
crazy. That is wild.
Yeah, man. It was crazy.
So I guess that's the Forex trading, the commodities trading.
Yeah.
So that was like the crypto is now. It's about to get regulated probably, but
and this was before it was regulated. So what they were doing, which I didn't know, is most people lost their money. 90% of the people lost their money. So rather than put it on any exchange, just keep it. Pay them if they win. They never win. So just keep the money. Don't even put it in the market. Just pay out the people that win. So I didn't know that that's what they were doing. So it's the same Stratton type stuff all over again. They had offices all over the world. They had offices in Thailand, offices in Costa Rica. And because I was new when I first got there and I had my skills from Stratton,
Right.
I just went in there and started opening accounts. They were like, who is this guy, you know? And they were like, does anybody want to go down to the office of Costa Rica for a little while to check it out? Nobody had a passport. I was the only person that had a passport. So I was like, I'll go. So I went down there, man, and they were like begging to keep me, in Costa Rica. They pulled out all the stops, every stop you could think of in Costa Rica to get me to stay in Costa Rica, man. But I ended up coming back to Atlanta. And then had another office in Thailand, which got shut down by Interpol, and the whole office got locked up and put in a jail in Thailand. And the owner came and bailed them all out and paid off the officials, from what I understand.
Wow. That's a whole different movie on its own right there.
Man, yeah. Another movie.
Not what was worse, but like as far as like worse, Stratton or the other brokerage, the commodities trading?
Like who was bigger crooks?
Yeah. And I guess you really didn't know when you were doing it, right? You were just doing the job.
I had no clue, no idea, nothing. I didn't know anything. I knew enough to pass the Series 7 and open accounts, and that was it. I didn't even know really how to play up, buy an option spread or do. I didn't know all that stuff, bro. They told us, don't get high on your own supply. So they didn't want us to start trading and not opening accounts and making money for them.
Right.
So, and they wanted us to buy expensive things. They wanted us to
look the part,
be broke. They want us broke because you're broke and you got a mortgage and you got car payments. You got to go to work.
That's right.
Don't save your money. Spend it. That's what they should do. Spend it all. Go make more money. Then, guys are having heart attacks at 45 because,
right.
you're killing yourself.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
So,
man, it's a crazy time. And it's, it's a movie, and it's been several movies. You got the Wolf of Wall Street, you got Wall Street, you got the sequel of Wall Street, you got Boiling Room. I mean, all these movies have been based off that, and you lived it. It's kind of wild because
I did. I did.
You've got people out there that are younger than me. I'm 30, so you got people out there, in their early 20s coming out of college watching these movies, and that's what like they want. Like they want to get rich quick. They want to learn to sell. They want the hustle. They think they want that until they get to it, right?
You think you want it until you get what you ask for. Yeah. And I'm 47. Sales is a great profession, man. You just find something that's actually helps people, does good, and do that, and sell that product. But other than that, I mean, I know guys that'll go to jail for 2-3 years, white collar crime. If they got, 50 million or they can sock away, they'll do it. I met those guys. I knew that's what they did. They built houses in Florida because, you can't, there's certain laws, the Homestead Act, you can't seize a house in Florida if you're in Florida. So, I didn't know this stuff, man. I didn't know any of this, man. Half my questions were answered from watching The Wolf of Wall Street.
That's crazy.
Shoot, I didn't know Jordan went to jail. I didn't know. He just disappeared one day. I don't know. I didn't know. All that stuff in the movie where he gave this meeting and he was like, I'm not going anywhere. I didn't see that. I was there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't
know. Now, was the SEC and everybody rating everything at that time, or was that when you was out?
I never saw any SEC suits or anything like that in the office. I knew that they had certain things. Towards the end, they were tape recording all of our phone calls. We had to, say everything correctly. I didn't know. They were trying to keep us out of the know. I would assume so we'd stay working and not know what avalanche they were holding back.
Right.
There was a guy, his name was Dan Dorfman. He was on CNBC. And I seen him one time, man. Because I didn't watch CNBC, but every once in a while, I watch CNBC, and I saw Dan Dorfman in the office. So I used to be like, why is Dan Dorfman here? And then I remember them giving us information like, you need to buy XYZ. And we would buy it, and then Dan Dorfman would talk about it on the CNBC show that afternoon. And the stock would go up. And for your customers, they didn't need to see much. If I told them to buy, XYZ stock, and I says, you'll get 2 points out of it. Just buy 500 shares, just so you don't think I'm bullshitting.
Right.
They buy 500 shares, it goes up 2 points, they make $1,000. I call them back, I say, see, if you would have listened to me and you bought 2,000 shares of that stock, or you bought 100,000 shares of that stock, I'd be sending you a bottle of Dom P or something like that.
Right.
So next time I call you, I don't care what you're doing. If you're a dentist and you're in the office cleaning somebody's teeth, you tell them, you put the phone, you tell your nurse or whoever to fix them up, and you come talk to me. Do you understand me? And they'd be like, yeah, yes, sir. It's because everybody's was fucking greedy. The whole shit was greed, man. It was just like they taught us how to push people's greed buttons, And a lot of people. I remember this one time. Long story short, I was like 12 years old, and the game 3-Card Monte.
Yeah.
I had like $100 on me, and I was on a bus. I was 12, and this guy took my money playing 3-Card Monte. I was mad. I had never seen the game, and he told me, he was like, if you were really an honest person, you wouldn't have lost the money because you wouldn't have done it in the first place. You wanted something for nothing. And I was still mad, but I never forgot that. And you see these people, losing their minds. It was give you your kids' college fund because they thought they can make an extra $10,000 or 20 or whatever. Just greed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would never cash, my kid's college fund or something like that.
Right.
The guy called me over the phone and told me he had the best next thing since sliced bread. But everybody wants more. And the guys we were calling, they weren't poor people. You couldn't call anybody or 105. They had to make $100,000 a year, have a net worth of $500,000, and have $100,000 in the stock market to even be considered.
The whales, right? Going after the top 1%.
These are the guys that we couldn't talk. It was against the law because we were pitching IPOs. It's speculative. So you could get in trouble. So a guy that's, has $20,000 in the stock market and he makes $50,000 a year, he can't lose that money.
Right.
And most of these guys are more than that. Cuomo bought stock with Stratton Oakmont. I remember that. One of the
Really?
It was either Cuomo. Don't get me wrong. That was Cuomo or not Cuomo. I'm sorry. Trump's attorney.
Rudy Giuliani. So he'd call into the office, or you guys would call him?
I heard that he had bought, one of the IPOs. So he had gotten involved, and Giuliani was been around New York for a long time.
Oh yeah, he's the man up there, right?
He put John Gotti in jail. Yeah,
he sure did.
Yeah,
and Michael Franzese as well.
Sure did.
Yeah, but he got it.
Yep.
So, do you keep up with some of the mafia stuff at all?
Here's what's funny. A lot of mafioso guys own brokerage firms. I don't know if you saw it in Sopranos. If you watched Sopranos,
I wish I've watched like the first season. I haven't watched it all the way through.
Okay. You remember Chris, Tony's right hand man?
Yeah.
He got him a job. They basically opened up a brokerage firm. And I saw how they did it slightly, and I was like, wow, that's what really was happening. John Gotti's niece worked in the office with us. Other mobsters' kids worked in the office. Her name was Chris. And people used to be like, stay away from Chris. Don't mess with Chris. That's Gotti's niece. And I seen mobsters come to the office. There was a guy, I called him Smitty. He was a broker there. His father was a big time gangster, and we used to hang out all the time. He's a cool dude. It's cool,
Yeah.
but the mob was heavily involved. The crime families were heavily involved with brokers' business back in those days. Heavily involved. Please don't call me federal government, please. But I seen it with my own two eyes. I saw them. When you grow up in New York, you know what mobsters look like. So yeah.
Right. That's awesome, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. So what else you got going on now? You still in sales, or are you just doing comedy? And what you got?
I was doing something with a buddy of mine, but I'm just tired of it. I don't know. I had an agent, and I was doing a lot of auditioning, and I did some stuff, and I was on a TV show back in the late 2000, like 2009, 2010. But I just want to get back to performing and doing stand-up. I don't really want to. Getting older, man. I don't got the strength to hit 400 no's a day anymore, and I don't know how to do it any other way.
Yeah.
I don't know how to, if I put a headset, if I pick up a phone and start calling people, I'm pacing in front of my desk. I'm slapping my phone on the desk, telling them to listen to me. I don't know any other. I don't know any other way to do it.
So all right. So kind of give me an idea of a sales call. So you can role play with me if you want to, but like, how would trying to open an account when you were at Stratton or doing the brokering thing? Like, how would you do it?
Okay. This is. There was the straight line pitch that they gave everybody, right? And what happened was, when I went on my own and I was working for the other Jordan, I didn't have enough. I didn't have time to go through the whole process. So what happens is you get a lead, send them some information, and call them back, and be like, "Hey, Johnny, I don't know if you remember, I sent you some information, da 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 da." And one day I was listening to this kid who was a Russian dude, and he was doing what we used to call slamming. And slamming is basically calling DMB cards, Dun and Bradstreet cards, basically the alphabet people, CO, CFO, COO,
right?
Calling these people, and you're pitching them as if you've already sent the information out to them. So I'm just going through basically businesses and calling them random, and this was the pitch that I would do. Hey, how are you? What was your name again? I'm sorry.
Gunner.
Thank you. All right. Hey, is Gunner available?
Yeah, right here, man.
Hey, Gunner, this is Dwayne Jackson over at Stratton Oakmont. How are you?
I'm good, sir.
Good. I'm giving you a call because I sent you some information, and I actually have a $100,000 situation that I need to discuss with you. Gunnar, I just have one question. Should I continue this phone call, or should I hop on a flight out to Miami and talk to you in person?
Well, I didn't get any information from you.
Regardless, you're probably in the bottom of a bird cage or something, man. I don't know. If your desk is like mine, it's probably got stuff all over it. My question is, should I continue this conversation now, or should I just hop on a jet and talk to you in person?
I've got a few minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, and then I would go into the pitch for whatever it is. So if I do that enough to enough people, some guy would be like, "God damn, what do you mean? Jump on a flight? Like, why? What do you mean?" Like, and then I would ask him. I'd say, "Hey, let's say, I don't know. I got Apple Computer right now. It's at $17. I think it goes to $30 over the next 60 to 90 days. This is what I'd like to see you do. I'd like to see you put $1 million into this situation. Let me show you 10 to 15% in the next 60 to 90 days. If I can show you that type of percentage, it's safe to say, nice close. It's safe to say that you would send some friends to me as a referral. Is that correct?" That's how I would close. It was like, and I got it from him. So I'm calling businesses all day, and I'm just pitching them just like that. Do I need to jump on a flight, or can I just talk to you now? And eventually some guy in some town that owns some business somewhere be like, "Well, damn, talk to me now." And I'd say, "Send me $1 million, da, 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 da. Can't do $1 million. But shit, I'll throw 10,000 at you and see what that's what I started doing. And that's how I built my book of business. If that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. That's a pretty good smooth little transition there as far as, you got a minute, or do I need to jump on a plane?
Yeah, you got a minute, or do I need to hop a flight and come out there to something Wyoming and talk to you in person?
So, and that was the most successful pitch you had as far as getting them to continue the conversation?
That was the fastest pitch that I had. That way I didn't have to get leads and then send them out information and then wait for 2 weeks and all that, because that's what we used to do.
Right.
You get a lead, then you send them out information, wait 2 weeks, talk to them in 2 weeks, and hopefully can you grab the information I sent over to you? Because we used to say that, grab the envelope. It's got a little line on the front, says Stratton Oakmont, and then let's go through it together if we need to. But when I did it that way, it was just faster.
Right.
So I developed that, and I would always close, and all my sales I closed like that. Safe to say, man, if I made you $100,000 in 6 weeks, your daughter's getting married. I can come. Am I right?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
yeah. It's like, all right, man. Look, this is what I need you to do. I'm not asking you like what I used to say. You get all my stuff that I had. So you ever been on a plane? The guy like, yeah. If you get on a plane, did you check the pilot to see if he was drunk or high or anything? You're like, no. So you trusted him with 30,000 feet. I'm not looking for 30,000 feet. I'm looking for 60 days. Give me 60 days. I'm not looking for $30,000 feet. Can you do that? Yeah, I can do it. Or whatever. We had so many lines. Can I call my wife? Like, you don't need to call your wife. This is what I'll do. I'm going to call my wife and ask her if I'm allowed to sell it to you. Let's do that. Can we do that? The guy be like, oh, that's kind of silly, right? Yeah, it's silly because your wife just bought three pairs of Manolo Blahnik pumps, and she didn't call you and ask you, did she? No, she didn't. So why do you need to call her? Be a man. Just grab the balls and buy the stock. That's how we used to talk to people, man, and they would do it.
And it worked, huh?
Not every time, but more than not.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
it really is. And it's a little bit different because in the industry I'm in, we do a lot of business to business sales, and we're not selling, like a product or necessarily, a way for them to make money real fast. We're selling a service. So it's a little bit more difficult to get some people to kind of hang in there with you and trust you. But, you have very similar tactics that we almost use as well. I mean, it's a brokerage, no matter what you're selling, right? It's a brokerage.
Yeah, it's a greed button, man. I've pulled doctors out of surgery. They'd be like, Dr. So-and-so's in surgery. I'd be like, I don't give a fuck. Tell him the stock is down 12 points. Hold on. He'd be like, Dwayne, look, I'm doing a fucking I'm in the middle of surgery. What's going on? I'm like, look, I need to move you out of the stock. I figured he could die and so could you. Do you want which one? Who would you rather die on? That's how it was, man. And he'd be like, look, shit, call me again if you need to. Yeah, pull me out of that, put me in whatever you need to. I was like, I gotta stop the bleeding, so I had to call you. I don't if I move the stock without your permission, that's an unauthorized trade. I don't want to do that. So it was to the point where my customers didn't even want to talk to me because every time they called me, I asked them for money.
Right.
Stop calling. They wouldn't harass me. So they'd be like, hey, Dwayne, how's everything going? Oh, it's great. Actually, I need another $100,000. Oh, no. What we have is fine. I said, well, don't call me during the daytime. Just check the paper. Back then we had the paper,
Right.
Check your position on the paper. I can't talk to you during the daytime. They'd be like, okay. And that was that. So
yeah, because with the market open and you only had X amount of hours you could actually work, right?
But I wasn't that busy. I just didn't want to.
No, I got you.
Be basically, how you'll check your phone, you can check what your stock prices are. Back then, they would call us. They would call you all day long, just to make them feel better because they were scared.
Right.
You knew a guy when you really got in his pockets when he would call you all day long. And sometimes I would just send those guys their money back. You wanted a guy who sent you $500,000 and didn't call you at all. You couldn't get him on the phone.
Right.
That guy has money.
Yeah.
So those other guys would be like, oh my God, what's going on? I'd be like, hey man, this isn't for you. I send your money back. So
that's crazy, man. So other than all that, you're just doing stand-up comedy right now, right?
Yeah, because of COVID, it kind of messed things up, and I'm just getting back out, and most of the guys that I came up with in Atlanta are famous already, and I don't even care if I'm famous. I just want to really have a solid comic career and just travel and and tell jokes. That's
Right.
it. They want to hear these stories. They can hear these too.
Do you have any of this content put into your skit?
Man, you know what, man? When I first started doing comedy, I did it in Atlanta. And I wrote one joke about being a stockbroker. And it would work in the mainstream rooms, but in certain rooms, it wasn't working. That type of content was not working. So I stopped. I stopped doing it. But I'm going to start again because after seeing how many people on YouTube just want to hear me tell the stories about this stuff,
Right.
like I'm going to start doing content, and, about that because that's what people want to hear. And sure, I'll do it. So I'm going to start content like that. I'm going to start.
Well, and if you're funny and if you can put good thoughts together and you're entertaining and charismatic and you can sell, dude,
Yeah,
you crush it.
I can write jokes. I'm funny when I need. That's how I got most of my sales, was just pretty much being entertaining on the phone.
Right.
Entertaining.
Well, so you said you had a guy in your office that was like a low tier pro wrestler. Funny story. So I'm also an independent professional wrestler when I'm not doing sales.
Get out here.
Yeah. So the whole entertainment aspect. So in college, like 2009, 2013, I played football at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, in Chattanooga, and played linebacker. I was a huge fan of the Ultimate Warrior growing up as a kid. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah, I know Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah. So I was a huge fan of the Ultimate Warrior. So I would paint my face up before games in the Warrior face paint, but just black.
All the way.
So there was an article that was written about it, and the Ultimate Warrior finds this article because his name was in it and reaches out to me.
What?
Yeah, I swear. Yeah, this is like 2000. You can Google this, but like this is like 2010, 2011. So I'm a redshirt freshman, sophomore, and he reaches out and he's like, "Hey, man, I love the stuff that you're doing. I love your look. I love the long hair because I had long hair at the time, and I had like a feather in my hair and had the face paint. That type of guy." And he's like, "I love it. So first of all, I want to give you permission to wear the face paint because if you're still doing that, that's awesome, and I'd like to stay in touch with you." So he called me every week until he died for 3 years.
What?
Like for the games, just to like, I'd be at the dinner table with my parents, and my phone would ring, and I had him in my phone as the Ultimate Warrior because his name was like, he changed his name to Warrior. So on my phone it was Ultimate Warrior. So he'd called like, "Hey mom, I gotta talk to the Warrior real quick." She was like, "What?" Yeah. So I would have these 20, 30-minute conversations the Thursday or Friday before a game with the Ultimate Warrior, and he actually did several like webcam, like pre-recorded speeches for our team that we had watched prior to game day. And there's a couple on my Facebook of him talking to me. He'd send me a video. He'd be in his workout bar and he'd be like, "Gunner, it's the Warrior here. Hope you've been you thought I forgot about stress, didn't you? Bullshit, man. Hope you've been punishing yourself both physically and mentally, getting yourself ready, gunning up, gearing up."
Oh my God.
Going crazy, man. And it was exciting. I mean, I was getting, Ultimate Warrior was sitting down and watching University of Tennessee Chattanooga games, FCS football on Saturdays.
Crazy, man.
And I'd have text messages after the game. He'd be like, "Man, y'all almost had them," or "Great game, good performance," all that type of stuff.
Wow.
It was awesome.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
So he got me a tryout with the WWE in 2014 when I finished, and I went down there. I broke my neck in college playing ball, so wasn't in the best shape, but I went in there and gave it my best go. They cleared me for 2 of the 3 days, and then I started traveling. I started doing the professional wrestling circuit from 2014 to 2018, and then I blew my knee out. Took a little time off and had a lot of time on my hands, got a little opinionated in the scene and just how wrestling and politics and all this. And I said some things that on Facebook that I didn't, I wasn't like a high profile wrestler. I was having, I had matches with guys that are like on Monday Night Raw and stuff right now, like Matt Riddle. I don't know if you keep up with it right now, but like there's several guys that I've had matches with that, really good matches. And I was in Pro Wrestling Illustrated as like the one to watch in 2018 as I was on my way up. And, it was crazy, though, because I said one thing about a wrestler getting signed by a major promotion, AEW, when they first started, a smaller wrestler named Marco Stunt. And I just said something along the lines of like, AEW wants to sign a guy that's 5'2", 115 pounds, it's a slap in the face to real athletes like myself that have grown up their whole life, trying to be the best they possibly can to get a starting spot, and then taking that same mindset going into pro wrestling, and then them just giving this little bitty kid a spot because people want to see little kids in the ring. One of those type of comments. And dude, this thing, I was like trending worldwide on Twitter for a whole day because the entire wrestling community attacked me. And like you think the Wolf of Wall Street has a cult following? Pro wrestling has a cult following on Twitter, and they attacked me for making fun of this kid because he was small and that I was an athlete. So yeah.
Do you remember Taz?
Yeah.
That was my high school football coach.
Taz was?
Yeah, Taz.
So Taz is with AEW right now. He's like kind of behind the scenes over there, and his kid just debuted with AEW.
Really?
Yeah, he's like he's between like 18 and 20 years old, but he's a rookie and he's just starting out on AEW.
Do you speak to Taz at all?
No, man, I don't. So like some of the high profile guys that I wrestled, as far as that are like doing it right now. Funny enough, there's another guy that wrestled under the name Gunner. It wasn't his real name, so I'd always give him a hard time, be like, "Hey, man, I know you're the fake Gunner, but I'm the real Gunner, so you need to be cutting that out around me." So, anyways, I wrestled him, and he signed with WWE. His name was Jackson Riker up there, and then Matt Riddle was with the UFC for a while. Now he's actually in a tag team with Randy Orton and on Monday Night Raw. That was probably my best like feud on the independent scene that got me like high profile, little notoriety, and then. I've wrestled other guys that are, older back in the day, been in the ring with some great guys, been around a bunch of guys in the locker room.
That's crazy.
But no, I've never met Taz. Taz was not one that I've met.
Yeah, Taz was, he was like his brother, his cousin. His name is Joseph Chetty. And Chetty was they wrestled together. I think they called them the Tasmaniacs at one point in time.
Yeah.
And Chetty was my high school coach. And he used to just bring Taz to coach like hitting drills. He used to love me because I hit so hard. He used to be like, "I love this guy, Dwayne, man. He hits hard." He's like, "After you graduate, man," because I was always a big guy.
Right.
After you graduate, you want to do this, try this wrestling stuff, man. Give me a call. Let me know. But one time, Taz took us to the base. Our team was just always getting beat on, man. We were good, but we were just. Our coach, who was like one of the winningest coaches on Long Island now, but he didn't know what he was doing back then. Long story short, Taz took us in the basement and he handed out these cups of juice that he said a witch doctor gave him in some forest somewhere. And he was like, "Drink it and you'll feel the power." And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at everybody and they're like, "Do you feel the power?" "I feel it. I can feel it." I'm like, Taz just fucking with us, man.
Selling snake oil to you boys.
Oh my God, man. He had us down in the basement rolling around in the dirt, drinking out of this tube of juice from some witch doctor. Yeah, right. Whatever. But yeah, Taz was dope, man. I love to talk to him. I haven't seen him in so many years. He was a cool dude.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. Yeah, he's still involved in it. I know that at a high level. He's just like a manager now. He's obviously older and beat up a little bit.
Yeah,
wrestling's hard on the body, man. I played football at a pretty high level. We've played Alabama, Auburn when Cam Newton was there. Several Heisman Trophy finalists. Like, in the division we were in FCS is the Southern Conference, so it's kind of like the SEC of FCS football. So at the time it was Georgia Southern, App State, Wofford. You were playing some really good teams.
Yeah.
Teams that are now in the FBS league.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, man, you get into wrestling. It hurts, man, and it's all not choreographed, but talked about and predetermined and stuff. But that mat is just mat and wood. That's all it is.
Just talking to a guy about there was this guy I used to work with at this job. I forgot what we were doing, but his name was the Max. He had like a purple suit or purple face thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was huge. He was jacked, and he was like used to always mess with me in the office. So he grabbed me one day, and I picked him up and I slammed him in the office. And he was like, "Yo, you're strong as hell. Have you ever thought about wrestling?" I was like, "Bro, I'm." He's like, no, come down to, it was in Atlanta, like Roswell Road. They had like a WWF or E gym or something, because Goldberg had a gym right there. And
so that's like the power plant back in the 90s.
Yes, it was like 99 maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I went in there and I was watching people take bumps and stuff, and I was like, hell no, man, no, I can't do it. I have respect. I saw what they were doing, 1,000 of those bumps, man, and I was like, no, man, I wouldn't even be able to walk.
Right.
That's
The first time that I ever hit the ropes, I was getting trained like during spring training in college because I knew that was kind of my next step. I knew I had a tryout before my football career was over. So I was already kind of cashed out. I was already ready to go do it. I've been a wrestling fan my whole life.
right.
But I started, training during spring break. I'd tell my coach, he'd be like, "Where y'all going?" I'd be like, "Florida." He'd be like, "All right." I just go down to Georgia, dude. And I was pro wrestling training
Right.
supposed to be not doing anything.
Right.
So, but my first training session, I can remember just hitting the ropes for like a minute or two, and then also taking a couple bumps and being completely blown up.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I'm in the middle of spring training in like one of the best shapes of my life, and I'm about to throw up doing fake wrestling. This is stupid, but it's tough.
It's tough. Yeah, man.
Because you got to think, you got to talk, you got to react, and you have to make sure that you're taking care of the person you're in the ring with.
So you
there's
guys
a lot of stuff happening.
You guys are calling out stuff when you're running past each other and running into each other.
At times, wrestling these days, it's getting more choreographed, and you call the whole match in the back, and then you just go over it. Then you go out there and you just kind of do it.
Oh, okay.
But then there's also a version of talking or wrestling that's like from the 80s and the 90s and even back in the day where you walk and talk, old school pro wrestling, where you just go out there and you just feel the crowd and you just lock up and start talking to the guy. Hey, take a headlock. Hey, shoot me off. Hey, give me a chest bump. You just kind of feel the crowd and do it from there. That's my favorite way to do it.
Okay.
But when you're working like a TV match or something that's streaming, you want it real tight and snug and quick because people's attention span is so short now that you don't have time to do that. But in front of a live crowd for fun, you could go out there for 30 minutes, man, and just mess around and have a great time.
Oh, wow.
But everything nowadays is like, we need a 6-minute tight match.
Yeah.
Hit all your spots, get all the stuff in, and make sure that you get this point across. Like it's more of that. But
do you miss it?
So I still do it.
You still wrestling?
Yeah. So after 2018 and I kind of got canceled in wrestling, I took about 18 months off, let my knee heal. I was done with it. I didn't want to. I was like, man, I wanted to make it to the WWE. That was my whole deal. I was like, well, I'm obviously not going to do that right now because nobody really appreciates me because of what I said. I guess I'm the asshole of the group, picking on little guys, right?
But they would want the heat, though.
You would think they do until it gets real. That people want the conflict until it's not the narrative they want to push, and you're a little bit too honest. Because I mean, there's not many, and this is not like a brag, but there's truly not many high-level athletes that go into pro wrestling. Right. Yes, there is, like Kurt Angle, Goldberg, The Rock. Stone Cold is like a Division II football player or something. Right. Bobby Lashley. You could make a list of about 20 to 30 over the years that were high-level athletes that transitioned and did well in pro wrestling.
Right.
That's at the highest level. If you look at the independent scenes, there's not many Division I, fresh out of football, in shape, linebacker types like me that are just coming onto the scene. And my first match ever was in the main event. That kind of rubs people the wrong way at that point because I didn't pay my dues.
Pay your dues, okay.
So I got pushed as soon as I came out because people saw money, and promotions went from having 100 people at their shows to 5 to 6 to 7 to 800 people, and is mainly locally around the area I was from. So it was just money for these people. And then I branched out into the Georgia scene and got my name out there and ended up being wrestler of the year there in like 3 years, which is like the fastest as far as like going back, even back to the day, like Ric Flair, the fastest that somebody got into the wrestling and won wrestler of the year in the state of Georgia. That was me.
Yeah.
From, rookie to that.
That's crazy.
I didn't even win most improved. I just won wrestler of the year. So I decided, I was like, I'm done with it. I'm going to get it. I'm doing well in logistics, got into sales, I started making some pretty good money. I was like, I'm going to focus on this. I can't be 1 foot in a podcast, 1 foot in wrestling, 1 foot in family, and 1 foot in, work. So I'm going to go all in family and work and work on my podcast and let it replace wrestling kind of.
Right.
And then I met my fiance to date. We've been together now for, a little over 4 years, I believe, or right at 4 years. But she had a little boy when I met him, and he had just turned 3. So when he got to 5, this kid just fell in love with wrestling because he loves YouTube. So he goes on YouTube and he goes to my YouTube channel and he sees all my old matches, and now he's watching wrestling and now he's putting it all together. Well, dude, he thinks I'm like the star wrestler because I'm having matches with guys that he's watching on TV.
Right.
So, and I'm beating them in these matches because I was the one getting pushed at the time.
Right.
So, he thinks I'm like this superstar wrestler, and his favorite thing is wrestling. So now I just do it once a month for the #1 promotion in Georgia. I go over there, I either main event or I'm top of the card. I don't train, I don't do nothing. I just stay in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
And dude, I do it once a month, and I'm actually enjoying it more now and having as good of a career now, doing it once a month, making more money in wrestling now than I made when I was doing it all the time because I was traveling and paying for myself. And it's 90 minutes from my house. And that little kid is front row for all my matches. And the first thing I do, I go over there, pick him up, give him a hug. We get in the ring before the shows, and I let him bump around, and he bumps me around, and we do little matches. And
where are you? Where do you wrestle normally in Georgia?
So it's called Southern Honor Wrestling. It's in Canton, Georgia.
I know what Canton is. Yeah, I used to live in
Yep, and it's called Southern Honor. It streams on IWTV, which is Independent Wrestling TV, and it's a great show, man.
I'm coming.
You coming?
Oh hell yeah, I'm coming.
Let's go.
Absolutely.
Let's go. Let's go.
In Atlanta, I'm gonna hit. We'll make sure of course we'll stay in contact, and I'll figure out
for sure.
I'm coming, bro. I'm coming.
Let's do it. Hey, and the next comedy thing you do that's around me in this area, I'll do the same.
Absolutely.
I'll bring a group.
Cool.
Well, hey,
cool.
man. I appreciate you coming on here. I'm glad I got to meet you. Glad.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for helping me get all this stuff out, man. You're making me remember this stuff. That is cool.
Hey,
thank you.
That's a good thing. I appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get off here. If you want to come back on at a later date, once you start traveling around or doing some more shows or whatever, you've got my number, so I'll hit you up for the next couple shows that are coming up. I'll let you know when a good one is.
Okay. Let me know when a good one is, because I'm gonna come up there. And, I was doing comedy in Atlanta for 10 years, so I like to go up there and work on stuff because Atlanta's a tough place to do comedy. It's the toughest place in the country that I've been. So I'm gonna come friends, and I'm gonna bring a couple of my comedian friends. We're gonna come up there, man. And,
let's go. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I like that.
All right, brother. Hey, man, I appreciate it. I'm gonna have my people go follow you. I'll try to get as many views on this video as I can. And I appreciate you coming on and sharing all this stuff with me.
Oh, Gunner, not a problem. Anytime, man. It's been a pleasure, bro.
All right, brother. We'll see you later, man.
Yeah, man.
All right, guys. So that's Dwayne Jackson, former broker at Stratton Oakmont. Had a blast with him on the show. Glad he was able to come on. I learned a lot about him, and he's a really good guy. So I'm looking to keep in contact with him moving forward. But this was episode 93. Make sure you do what you got to do. Follow us on YouTube. Hit that bell notification. Leave some comments. And Apple iTunes, Spotify. Keep listening. You guys are awesome. I hope this episode turns out great. This is the first one that I've produced by myself. No Ethan here tonight. But hopefully this allows us to continue doing this when I'm not able to get to the studio, which seems to be more often than not these days. So this will allow me to come out here and give you guys some more interviews with people across the world, across the country, and more interviews throughout the week. So I'd really like to push out some more interviews, meet some new people, and really push this direction more so into sales with a little bit of background on things that we've done in the past, and obviously keep it in things that you guys like to listen to. So thank you so much for listening to the show. Share this with your friends. Like this. Get the word out. I really appreciate you guys following this show. This was episode 93, Chat with Gunner. We'll check you guys out next time.